I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here in the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos, very pleased to be joined by Shamina Singh, Executive Director of the MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth.
Hi.
Tell me, thank you first of all for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about, I'd like to talk about women and financial inclusion. I was speaking to your CEO the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about your perspective from the women's side.
Well, what Ajay may have said was that 85% of retail transactions in the world are currently done by cash still. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty surprising and high figure. Well, those 85% are being spent by 2.5 billion people who are underserved financially. They don't have access to the financial system. So no bank account, no access to currency, things like that.
Stuff that you and I take for granted.
Stuff that we take for granted. They can pay their bills. We pay our bills online.
Yeah.
We have an account. We go to the ATM. So 2.5 billion adults in the world don't have that same kind of access. Of the 2.5 billion, the vast majority are women. So what we do know is women are the CFOs for their families. That's a global thing. So it's not just a U.S. thing, it's not just a UK thing, but we also know, because of what we've learned from microfinance and microinsurance, that women make the financial decisions more often than not.
So when you start to get women included, what are you doing at MasterCard to make sure that these women are getting more included, and how does that change how they start to spend money and make decisions?
It's we're doing a lot, actually. What we do know is that because the 85% transactions are done in cash, we've realized that cash is sort of the enemy of economic growth. And what we're trying to do, and what we've had success doing in many emerging markets, is actually digitizing the transaction between government payments and citizens. So for many of these women, they get child support subsidies, they get health subsidies, they get education subsidies for their children. Most of the time, they're getting them in cash. So it's a government subsidy coming to their village by an agent, bringing them cash, handing it out, and things like that. Well, but by the time it gets from the government to the person, you've probably shaved about 40 to 80% of the actual benefit. So what we're doing, what we've just done in South Africa is we're aggregating social sector programs onto a digital card, phone, you name the form, but we can do it, bringing financial functionality so that it all becomes electronic. So the government puts the grant on the card, the consumer gets that amount, they also get a bank account, and they're using the bank account because the money comes into the account, onto the card, and then they purchase. And what are they purchasing? They're not purchasing liquor and cigarettes. They're purchasing bread, eggs, milk, and they're getting it from mainstream grocery stores because anywhere where MasterCard is accepted, they can take their social subsidy card. So it is liberating and bringing much more dignity to this particular class of people and these women in particular, to help them allow them the access to make the decisions that they really do want to make for their families.
So as a result of this, are you seeing any change in what these stores are offering on the kind of goods, or anything changing in terms of the consumer behavior that's making the companies make a difference or make changes?
Yes, we are actually, because now that they are consumers with essentially a MasterCard in their hand, the grocery stores are taking notice because the volume of customers these grocery stores have never seen. It's double and triple. I mean, just think about South Africa alone. 10 million new cardholders because 22 million South Africans get benefits. So 10 million cards, mostly going to the mom in the family, aggregating all the benefits. She goes to the grocery store. The volume in South Africa of Joburg alone, grocery stores are, they're excited, but they're panicked because they cannot meet the demand. So it's the staples. It's everybody wants to aspire, but when women in charge, they make sure that the baseline is met. So it's creating a whole new market for things that we sort of take for granted. So all the staples, all the nutritious foods, but also education, transportation, things that oftentimes we find in emerging markets sort of get left behind.
So can you pay for education with MasterCard?
Of course you can, because you're getting an education subsidy from the government particularly, or you're getting a scholarship subsidy, for example, to send your daughter to school in the village. And instead of getting 60% of it cut off by the time it gets to you. So if you have to choose between two kids, you're sending your son, not your
Right.
daughter. Now you're sending both, and it's the same thing. We have the schools will take a MasterCard because we've built in a payment system for them.
Got it.
So it's really taking cash out of the equation that is making a huge difference for men and women.
Fascinating. Thank you so much for stopping by the Hub Culture
You bet.
Pavilion here in Davos, and I'm Edie Lush.